Hello, everybody. Welcome to Treasury Automation Workgroup. We just introduced ourselves to the agenda and our first. We're now moving to the sharing updates, what we have done in September in Treasury Code and related to Treasury updates. There are some other updates. We can kind of keep a high level info about it, and then we stop recording and start discussing our next steps and priorities and how do we kind of assess our budget fitting, like how do we what we basically take out from the automation work, and that is planned for this quarter, on the next quarter. And yeah, there might be some priority changes, as you all know. We kind of ran into a very bad issue last week. But kicking off with the September updates, and we are tracking the development updates under Swarm Dework. I have made a picture of here. As for so far, I have had less time spending on the JSON generator and more time on the other operational activities. So from my side, it's not yet working. However, there was at the early months we spent time on JSON updates, and I think we also shared it a bit on the last updates. But now the recent things that changed dramatically and also affected the last transaction reversal activity we just had was changing the task ID to recognition ID and repurposing the task ID for different activities. And that was like an infrastructural change, which we have very few times. And if we do, we never had such a bad outcome of that. And yeah, before I go to other updates, then Andre can share what he did from his side.
Okay, so I made some updates to the debt, the debt that holds the transactions. Just added some more information. So when you press the button in the Excel manager and it appears in the debt, it just shows a little more information, like how many recipients and the date. And I took some old JSON files and ran some tests with them. So I noticed some bugs in the fee calculation. I had some bugs with the policy IDs and exchange rates. So I fixed all of that. And after a couple of tests, it looks the API creates it's almost exactly the same JSONs as yours. I think the handling fee is just in a different place. All the amounts are correct. So it is, I think it is actually working now. So we can, I think, maybe test it with a small transaction first. Or, the other update I did was change the task ID to recognition ID. I think that was the last one. And last week, when we did the payments, I tested it with one, and it actually created the JSON. It looks like it worked. It looked like it. I must actually go check if it created. But the JSON was a little bit buggy last week, so I'm not sure. But it should be the same. But yeah, I think maybe this week I'll test it again. We can test it again with the data and just see if the JSONs are the same. I think and if they are the same, we can start testing.
Okay. Yeah, for technically tomorrow I'm also the facilitator operator, so it will be probably easier to test rather than somebody totally new doing new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. However, I do have from my side, I haven't created this way to request transaction. So it still is like half like manual, but at least maybe we can do the submission part and see how it goes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that's right. Oh, it is. Yeah, the other thing I did was I added the API to get the hash back. Got that. Yeah, get the hash.
On the other updates from my side, participation tooling now automatically finds latest participants. There is also video from the knowledge base workgroup where we use the tool and we basically go over all the details again or new updates. Then yeah, there are like minor improvements. Task labels are not combined instead of first result only. Wallet address recognition improvement. I think that so this wallet recognition is actually about when we had a situation where the name in the forum had like partial match compared to what was given through the dework or whatever way it was submitted. So previously it was like we take the name and then I check and I split the name into multiple parts and check if there is any matches. Now I'm doing it both versions. So now I'm also taking all the names and split these into like into all these smaller segments, and if any partial match kind of is in string of the name itself, so it's gives us slightly more options to recognize, I think.
Okay.
Then wallet address, work participation reward calculation considers means amount. So that's also related to this new tooling, participation tooling. Previously, we didn't think about like how long person is in the call. Improve workgroup info sheet, UX. So there is now, tomorrow we will see there is now 2 sheets actually. So there is an operator facilitator like rotation we have, and this participation sheet is completely different. And I think actually last week we already showed a little bit of that, and then we had these like rules on the right side. It's all related to that. Improvements on handling duplicate proofs. So there is still, we might have some kind of edge cases because proofs can be duplicate in many cases. And so there are some functions where it is allowed and some as not allowed, depending on how the task is imported. We will see how that goes. And in general, it's just meant to be like kind of, at best case, give a warning at a good time. Else, in the end, we're just gonna have just quiet again. Add a new exception for date suggestions, and basically there's our other updates that are all related to Treasury operators mainly. What other updates you have? I saw there is some Treasury tab stuff.
Oh, I did some styling on the Dework export, CSV exporter, and then I worked on some minting stuff. And Mesh made some updates that caused that I played around with the NPN. I'm still using the old version of Mesh because when I use the new version, it actually breaks the dApp. And but I did check in Discord. They said it's fine now. Everything is still the same. It's just if you want to make use of the new governance features, the DREP stuff, which we are not making use of right now. And the minting, I wanted to create that influence token. So I did see we will have to mint that token from another wallet. But it is pretty much ready to mint. I think I chose the picture that had the most votes. So just you can, whenever you know a date that we need to mint it, just give me a heads up, then I'll get it ready. But it's pretty much ready to mint.
Okay. Yeah, that reminds us that we need to put it in Treasury with agenda. That I could work on that already. Okay. I'm just gonna note myself. Okay. So yeah, but that was also an interesting insight here for those who are watching. We are building on Cardano protocol, so if you feel like the SingleArcNet has a space to be a delegated representatives for some governance actions in the Cardano relations, then we have the capacity to help to create policies or vote for policies or anything like that using the tools we are using. But for now, I will stop recording and then we can go to other updates and future plans.